Hey everybody, welcome to our catering website. So let me give you just a little bit of an overview about some of the things that we're going to learn about in this site. So the first one, we have a little bit more animation here and a couple of effects. We have the fade in effect for the navigation up top. You see the nav bar fades in. We have a little bit of a hover effect that we're going to add through animation. And then, of course, we have the fading in of the text down low here as well. We have lots of things going on there. We have a row setup that we're going to use. We have call to action button. We have a review summary. We're going to do like a little bit of testimonials here for our fake caterer. And in our menu page, when we do this, we're going to change the look. We're going to change the animation a little bit. We're going to keep the nav bar as part of the picture here, and we're going to add one of these little turn effects here, which isn't quite done, but that's going to be an interesting thing that we add to this particular site. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's go back to the index page, and let's go ahead and do what we always start off with. So in yours, go ahead and create a new folder and call it catering. As of course, I always call mine demo because as I do all these different things, I have to do them before I do this video for you. So inside of catering, we're going to go ahead and do a CSS folder as well as a images folder. We may or may not actually get to the images portion of this, but we'll see how it goes. But now we have at least our folders set up. We have CSS and images inside our catering folder as always. So let's go ahead and get into our environment here and create some new files. All right, I'm here in VS Code. You can do this in Caret as well. We're going to go ahead and do File and do a new file. We are going to do then Control S, and we're going to save this as index.html as always. And we're going to do one more new file. And we're going to go ahead and do Control S and save this in CSS as cater.css. And that should be the two files that we require for right now. Let's go ahead and get our skeleton over here from Classroom and get started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just take our entire skeleton here. We're going to do lots of different things in this, but we always, of course, start with our skeleton because every file does. So I'm going to go ahead and copy our skeleton here a couple of times, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put it inside of our file here. And we'll just paste that into index.html. And then we're going to take the CSS that's on top of that, everything inside the style tags, of course. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to just do Control X, cut that off the screen. We can just go ahead and get the style tags out of there. We don't need it. And we're going to put our catering stuff inside of our cater.css file as always. So the last part of this is we're going to go ahead and do a link tag here. So with our link, the type of file is text/CSS. This relates to our document because it's a style sheet. And then the href would be CSS and cater.css. All right, let's just go ahead and make sure this works here. Every now and then I have a moment and it doesn't, so let's go ahead and just give it a quick double check. All right, so here's our full link tag, of course, and then our site should give us the good old-fashioned skeleton as always. So let's go ahead, push forward a little bit through this and get our site working out. So some things that we need to change in our setup right here is actually a good couple of things. What we have is opposed to our nav being outside of our container, we actually have our navigation inside of our element that we are going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to, right here under our header, we're just going to give it a little bit of space, and we're just going to go and we're going to just label this as our cover section, and we're going to create a div with a class of cover. So this one is going to be the primary thing that you see on when you load the site. It is the large focal picture that you have. So inside of our cover, we are going to have a couple of different things. Now, I've given you inside of the assignment, I've given you a couple of links. This one is, this Squarespace image is definitely linked inside of the assignment. So don't type all this stuff. You should be able to just kind of pop this in from the assignment. So we're going to create a div with a class of cover-image. And this image tag right here is going to be the SRC of that Squarespace image that is linked. So inside, after our image here, we're going to go ahead and do another div with a class. Oh, goodness gracious. Cover-overlay. So this is going to be all the stuff that goes in front of the image, and this is where our navigation actually is going to start. So inside of our overlay here, we're going to have a ton of different things. So our nav is going to be the first. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to minimize the amount of typing here for you, so I'm just going to pop this in. So our navigation will go inside of our cover overlay, which is definitely different. Usually the navigation goes separate. And then our next section here will be the cover text. So I'm going to give you cover text as well, because again, we've done some of this stuff before, and I want to minimize how much you're sitting here watching me type. So our cover text will go in like that. So now, the couple of things inside cover text that are important are, of course, we have our H1, which will be our main site title, our little tagline, which is in a paragraph, but then our call to action button. So this call to action button we're actually going to reuse in a bunch of different places, but the most important thing on a website is you're directing people to do a specific thing. And in this case, it would be, we actually have nothing in this case yet. This would be probably a contact button. So that's that. Let's go ahead and just make a quick modification to our header section, which I completely skipped over. I was so excited about the navigation. Inside of our header, we have just a couple of different things, if I can find them. So we're going to divide our header into two sections, a left and a right. And just going to replace that word header with this right here, which is going to be on left, it'll be the Find Me on Social, and right, it'll be our just a phone number here. We could put some social media icons here. We'll see if we get to that or not. So we have our header section, we have our cover image all set and ready to go. Let's do a little bit of labeling here because we have a whole lot of stuff. So we have our cover text. Let's go ahead and label the end of our cover text. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of divs that end in a row, and that is definitely assigned. So for me, I can click on them and go up, and it'll show me where it closes, where it corresponds. So this is the close of cover overlay. And then this next one here is the close of cover. Now, it would have been probably helpful to do all those at the same time here, but as it goes, I guess I didn't today. My apologies. So I'm going to just erase some of the extra space that I put in, and I'm going to erase our nav here because we actually already did nav, and we do not require it there. So now inside of container, we do actually have the rest of our stuff inside of container. So inside of our container, we have a general row setup that we are going to be using. So our standard div here, and we're going to do a class of row. So in our row setup, we generally have two things. We have our image, a div with a class of row-image. And inside of that always goes our image tag. And for our image tag, we always have the src and the alts because those are required. Oops. And of course our hashtag there. Now for our row image, actually I gave you another image inside of the assignment here. Let me go ahead and show you which one we need for that one real quickly. All right, so for this one we need our chorizo mozzarella gnocchi thing ding right here. So what you should be able to do is you should just be able to right click and copy the link address. And these images we're using as links. So this whole big massive thing you're just going to put inside of the src. And then the other part that we're going to need for this particular setup is going to be our row text, which is, again, the standard kind of setup. Now, the other thing I put inside of that particular assignment is I put the dummy text for lorem ipsum, so you don't have to go and do this or type this. So go ahead and copy that real quick. And what you can do is you can pop that into our setup here. So for our next div, we're going to do our row-text. And we're going to have our two standard things inside of here. So we'll have our H3, which will be the title, whatever we want it to be. We'll have our paragraph tag, which will be our lorem ipsum that you should have just copied from the assignment. My goodness gracious. And then we will need one more thing under our paragraph, which we've already done, which is our call to action button. Now this call to action button you should have put up inside of our cover. So you can just go ahead and pop that right underneath the paragraph there and call it good. So again, we need a little bit of labeling here. So this is the end of row text. And this next one right here should be the end of a row. And as you, I'm sure at this point, are seeing, this gets crazy soon. And it's very much easier to label than not, just to make sure that we have everything working. So there's going to be a couple more things I'll just kind of pop in here. Some of the things that are I'm just going to put in are similar things. All of these for the paragraph are going to use the lorem ipsum that we indeed have pasted into the into the assignment. It's all the same. We just need some text so it can show us. So you're not going to see that on your screen. What you're going to do is it'll just put that in. So we have, in this next one, we're going to do a couple of different things. We're going to have this next row. And then, yeah, there's our next row here. It'll be a dark row and it'll be centered. So in this one, you notice we don't have an image. We have a title, we have our paragraph, and we have our call to action button. What I would recommend that you do in this case is really just copy your row and just delete the image portion, and that would be the easiest way to go. So now the next setup is a little bit different, and what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give you different options. When you go and you have your own stuff that you're developing, it helps to have options. So we'll label that. This is the end of a row. So the last row that we will do right here is going to be one where it is our reviews, actually, is what it's going to be. So let's go ahead and this is going to be the end of a row. And this one, of course, I didn't add the class of row. Because, yes. Okay. So in this one, we're going to use our row items setup. So this one will have a class of row-item. And we'll label this up here as well. And inside our row item, we're just going to have a left and a right side, essentially. Oopsies. So inside of our row item, we're going to have in here a class of item left. And item right. And inside of our left, we're going to have one thing right here, and that will be an image tag. So our source we'll get to in a minute. Our alt will be hashtag, and inside of our right, we're going to have this H4, which will say review summary. And we're going to have a little paragraph here as well. And for the paragraph, you're going to go ahead and you're going to use that lorem ipsum that I pasted. If you have VS Code, just type lorem 20 and it'll be in there fine. Now at the end and the beginning, so this is the end of your lorem ipsum, we're going to use the quotation mark. So and QUOT is a quotation mark. We're going to go and we're going to put inside of our review, we're going to put quotation marks around this. I tried to do this a couple of different ways. It didn't work out so hot. So this is just the easiest way to go about it. So underneath our quotation for our lorem ipsum for right now, we're going to put two breaks. And we're going to put the little sideways tilde thingy dingy, whatever this is called. And we'll just put the name of the person reviewing it. So the other second to last thing that we need for this is in our assignment here, wherever the assignment went, you have a third one. This is our person placeholder here. So we're going to copy this link address for our person image, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pop that inside of our SRC. Now, so yeah, man in a shirt on gray background. Perfect. Aptly named. For this item, for our row item, go ahead and select the beginning of our row item and all the way down to the end of your row item. And we're just going to go ahead, copy, and put that on there twice. So we have 2 items in our row, and that, ladies and gentlemen, should be it. I do have a couple more options on here. It doesn't matter. We're just going to leave this like it is right now because that is indeed way enough video for right now. So this is our setup. Let's go ahead and just take a second and see what it looks like. This one is not going to look like a whole heck of a lot of anything at the moment because we have this massive image and we have our menu here, and then we have our other images, which just kind of don't really do so much for really anything. So this is kind of where you're at. It's not going to look like anything, but in our next video, of course, we're going to look at the CSS, and we shall pick up from here.